Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back again. Dominic here. And we have another show tonight on The Dirty. I've got Chris tonight with us, who's got another, well, I don't know of an alienation story. Sorry, let me just kill this, yeah. I don't know of an alienation situation that hasn't been crazy so far. Everyone seems more crazier than the first one and the next one, and yeah, I'm just in awe of how creative people are. However, they all use the same tactics still. Today I've got Chris online, and he's had a little bit of trouble with the church, facing accusations from his ex, and the way things are manipulated, and how people are just, they call it, I think they call it triangulation. If you know the term, just type it in the comments below. But it's where your ex will actually get everyone around you, your circle of friends that you used to share when you were married and in a relationship, and the church, in Chris's case, the church that is went to, all the lies and manipulation has managed to actually sink deep into these people, and they actually believe that you are crazy, manipulative, and vindictive and abusive, and everything that's been lied about you, everything that they actually do to you is what they impose on you, if that makes any sense. Anyways, without further ado, I'm just gonna bring Chris online here, and welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Hey, Dominic.
Chris,
How's it going?
I'm good, bro. How are you doing today?
No, doing fairly well. Thank you very much. Under the
I know,
circumstances.
yeah, I know today you had a bit of frustration. We'll get into that as
Big
well.
time. Big
I don't
time,
want to
bro.
bring that up again because I managed to calm you down. It's just the things that we have to deal with. But
Mm,
yeah, we'll get into that matters in a moment.
mm.
So, Chris, I'm not gonna take too much time introducing you. I just want to get straight into the questions here. Uh, we all start all happy and in relationships. I'm sure you didn't meet your wife out of hate, or you didn't marry her out of hate. Never
No.
happens. So what was it like before you got married and before your son was born?
Well, usually people would tell you that everything was all, moonlight and roses and moonlight and Valentinos and all of that. It wasn't
Yeah.
quite like that with us. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Yeah, I was part of a very fanatical church back then, and they were very fanatic about a few things. And
Right.
so to
By fanatic, what do you mean?
it's usually God has spoken. God has spoken. It's like
Okay.
God has told me
So
this, and then
they have this direct word with God.
yeah, they've got this WhatsApp line with him. Sorry, I'm not mocking, but they've got this direct email or whatever
No,
that is. But
no,
yeah,
no. Okay, carry
no,
on.
I really
I
don't
want
mean to mock. Please forgive
I
me.
want the no no I want the number.
Sorry. No, no, that's
Carry on.
no. The thing is, yeah, today we can laugh about it. Back then, I was sort of coming out of that, and I was trying to find my way in the real world.
Yeah.
Not getting into too many details there, but yeah. So the thing that happened with us is, and with me particularly in this instance, was she phoned me up and said, God said you're the one. God showed me in the dream that you're my husband.
Okay.
I'm like, we have met before. We're both musicians. And yeah, so she was quiet, in a place. I used to play in a band with my two brothers. And I mean, you can be as dumb as a rock, but if you've got a guitar around your neck, dude, you're it. And everybody just want to
Yeah.
throw themselves into you. And it was a Christian band.
Okay.
They just
Yeah.
wanted to give the numbers, the email addresses, and everything. And I was like, whoa, guys, you don't even know how I like my coffee. Let's just be real
Yeah.
about this. And now
Yes.
here
Yes.
she comes along, quiet in a place. Little did I know, but then we'll get into the little did I know in a bit.
Yeah.
And so we met up and we started dating. And then I realized something was off. And I said to her, listen, you really need to sort yourself out. This is not going to work. And then she said to me, yeah, no, I'm expecting way too much of her. because every time I just, when I wanted to give her a hug, she used to cringe. And she said, no, we must
Okay.
end this, because she agreed that we must end it because I'm expecting too much. So we broke it off, and like I'm skipping a lot of detail here. I'm just keeping it, I'm trying to keep
Yeah.
it in a straight line just for the
No.
sake of
Okay.
this
No.
broadcast.
No problem.
So
No problem.
cool, man. So yeah, and so we broke it off, and about 2 years later, she phoned me up and said, "Listen, God has now showed me that you're going to be my husband, and He has confirmed it with this pastoral couple." I was still living here in Amman, where I'm living now, and she was in Friedenberg when she called me up. Friedenberg is 250 kilometers away from me.
Yeah.
And so she said, I must phone the pastoral couple, and I phoned them up, and they confirmed the story. Yeah, God has showed her, the wife, the pastoral wife, and the husband, that I am the husband. I am her husband to be. This is it, dude. It's like, it's worse than the Michael Jackson. This is it. This was it. I'm, yeah, dude. So we met up again. We had a cup of coffee in Wimpy, as about as romantic as can be in Wimpy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I was I was checking this out. I was thinking to myself, so how does this work? And I was intrigued. And she had all the stars in her eyes, only for that particular date, because I've never seen it. After that, I've never seen it again. I've never seen that
That
bright
sparkle.
sparkling. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get into, also, we will be getting into the reason why. She has really convinced herself that this is what she wanted. Okay. So, and then as things progressed, I realized that, and then she also told me that whatever issues she had, the issues that caused us to break up in the first round, so to speak. She
Yeah.
said she was over it. She's been for counseling, and God has now delivered her. And I really, I wish back then I really wished it upon her, for her own sake, not for my sake, for
Yes.
her sake. And but as time progressed, I realized something was off about this. And what I'm about to say, I'm really not pointing the fingers at them. I made the choice. It was my
Right.
fault. I carried on. I was 30 years old. I was old enough to, think for myself. But I chose to believe whatever they were feeding me at the time. So 2 months before the very expensive dinner, the wedding,
Yeah.
I
Oh.
yeah, I called the pastor's wife and I said to her, "Listen, just go to her, please, because I'm going to break this off." And she says, "No, no, 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 no. Why do you want to break this off? Everything's going so well." And I said, "No, it's not going well. If I just touch her hand, it's like, no, 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 you're too clingy. You're Velcro. Just get away from me. And I said
This
to
was
her,
after
"Listen,
you
this
after you guys got married or before?
no, before we get married.
Before you got
Before we
okay.
get married. So,
Right.
like I said, before that very expensive dinner, I
Yes.
said
Yes.
no.
Yes.
I wanted to call her up, and I wanted to do it right. I wanted to. Well, in hindsight now, I should have just done it, not involve the pastor's wife, but I thought I was going to do it the right way. So, called the pastor's wife up, said, "Please go to her now, because I'm going to break it off." And this is the conversation that happened. She said, "Listen, what you want to do, what you're doing now, is not from God. If you're going to break up with her, you are going to undo 3 years of intensive counseling, and everything that God has done in her life up till now, you're going to undo in one go." And I persisted. I said, "No, listen, I'm not going to go through with this." And this lady promised me. She said, "I guarantee you." It's sort of like she's in control of my ex's. I don't want to call names here. I don't want to mention any names.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost
No.
like
No.
she's in control of her life, her very being.
Yeah.
The focal nervous center almost. And she said,
Yeah.
"I guarantee you, by the time you guys tie the knot, get married, everything will be great. It will be fine. We are working with her. We're on it. It will be fine." And reluctantly, I said, "Okay, I'm going to hold off, and I'll see how it goes." And a week later, it was our weekend to visit again, and I went through, and I promise you, that weekend, she was a completely different person. Of course, the pastor's wife had a chat to her, said, "Listen, you better pull it together. This guy's going to break up with you."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can guarantee, I can promise you.
Probably.
So yeah, she was
It's
a
a sad
different
enough.
person, and the weekend was everything went well. We had a nice drive with some friends of hers and everything. She introduced me to everyone as the man of her dreams. I'm like, okay, that's a change. Who's
Yeah.
this standing
Yeah.
next to me? So yeah, so we proceeded with a very expensive dinner, about 95 guests, and I only knew 14 of them. Also, don't want to go into too many
Shame,
details there.
man.
I
Sorry,
kid
I
you
don't
not,
mean
dude.
I
Kid
don't
you
I
not.
don't mean to laugh, but the things we do for love,
Oh, what we think is love, and
yeah.
yeah. So so then, yeah, we left for honeymoon. And yeah, there's a term for that. And the people must really get this. It's called love bombing. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do love bomb you. But yeah, now to get back to the story. So,
Overwhelmingly, am I right by saying love bombing is the overwhelming amount of love? Like you've never ever felt
yeah,
like this before.
yeah,
I think it's a strong word. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Anyways,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, so we left for honeymoon, and it wasn't everything was. It was just really. How do I say it? It was just really awkward. And also, I don't know the age group of our viewers, but yeah, and also I don't want to get into too many details there. But yeah, so we came back home after the honeymoon. We were there for at our destination for about a week, and so I remember coming back home, and then I just felt so alone. I left my family behind in Hermanus, and I moved. Oh, I moved to her town because that was in the recession hit, and there was nothing going on in the building industry. So I got myself a job on that side, and we were starting out our life together on that side. And it sounded all romantic, and everybody told me that I was so brave, to pursue life, in the on that side of the world, and so I just felt so lonely because I have my brother and my parents in this town. My other brother is now also a bit further away, but not too far away. I have two
yeah.
brothers. So and I was sitting there in that small little town with only three cars. Look, if you're in December, if it's December and you walk out into the main road, and this is now their peak traffic, and you only see three cars in the main road, then you know you're in the wrong town. So this is what happened to me that very
In
December.
a
I
ghost
walked out,
town, bro.
dude. I was like, "Am I in the desert?" I was like, "What the hell did I get myself into?" And but that's also what they do. They isolate you. That
That's right.
all
They
again.
isolate you so that it's an abuse tactic. So if
Yeah,
you guys
definitely
don't
very.
know, that is one of the, and I'm not laughing about this. It's just that Chris's story is so ludicrous. He's an intelligent guy, but the manipulation is strong, guys.
Mm,
I'm telling you, the
it
power
is.
is strong. So they isolate you. They get you. Just explain there what happened. The isolation and what happened thereafter, Chris.
Yeah. Well, the isolation.
Why you isolated?
Yeah. So this is it. It's very narcissistic. And men also fall for abuse. It's we're not immune to it.
Yeah,
So the thing is, they tend to take you away from friends and family because they know, especially when they get to know your friends and your family, and they pick up on one person that's quite sharp, and they know that person will see right through them. Then you can know they're going to take you to another town. They're going to take you away from your people and your habitat, so to speak. They're going to take you out of
right.
your So
Break down your support structure.
exactly. And they'll throw scripture at you. The Lord said, it's time to pick up your tent and go. Something that happened to Abraham thousands of years ago. And now you're turning into the next Abraham. Thank
Yeah,
God we don't have any camels in South Africa. But anyway, so, and I went to the pastor's wife and I said to her, listen, something is seriously off. It's like we're roommates in the same house. And we're not even, people after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, no, they experience that. And of
right.
course, there was no intimacy going on because, yeah, anyway, we'll get into that in a bit. So
So
I just
so
felt so alone. Mm.
tell me, Chris. Now, all right, you've now seen signs before and after you got married. So
Mm.
how long before your son was born? How long after you were married?
Okay, so 3 months later, I actually had my suitcases in the car. I was about to leave. I was coming back to Hermanus
Mhm.
because in that 3 months, in that 3 months time, the pastor's wife or the pastor got tired of me complaining all the time, and they said, "Listen, you're going to chase her away. You're going to mess up your marriage because you're putting too much pressure on her." And I'm like, guys, what do you mean I'm putting pressure on her? We're married. We're young. What are you talking
Yeah,
about? Yeah, but you should give her some time. And I said, but that's not what you said just before we got married. You said you guaranteed that she was going to be fine. And again, of course, my thinking was wrong because I shouldn't rely on them. I should have followed my own instincts, my own gut. And okay, so the one thing, if I'm gonna have to get into a bit of detail here. So if it gets too hectic,
yeah.
just stop me, please. But the pastor's wife did have a
It's still
serious
dirty,
chat.
so I'm not going to stop you.
Okay, all right, yeah. So she had a serious chat with my ex, and she phoned me and said she had a serious chat with my ex. So yeah, that was the only time something really happened, and not even completely, but something happened between us. And soon after that, that's where my son, comes from, obviously.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And
The birds and the bees,
yeah,
guys. The birds and the
yeah,
bees,
that's
in
it.
case you
That's the
didn't know.
one.
There we go.
That's the one.
Right.
So yeah, and I had my suitcases packed because after that, it was like she avoided to talk. The next morning, at well, I can say breakfast table. It sounds like soapy, but yeah, we were sitting at the table having coffee, and she didn't want to look me in the eye. She could hardly be with me in the same room, and everything just went down there from there. And like I said, a week later, I had my suitcases. Not a week later. Sorry, almost like a month later, I had my suitcases packed. And it was in the car already, and I was waiting for her to come home from work because she was still working.
Right.
And she came home, and she brought this pregnancy test. Yeah, and it was positive. So without her knowing, if any of them, people who know should watch this, she will hear this for the first time. I never told
Yeah.
anyone,
Okay.
but yeah, so I slipped the suitcases out of the car because I'm not going to abandon her now. She's pregnant with
Yeah.
my son.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, there I was, also again alone, but my son is on the way. And the one thing I forgot to mention is the reason why she couldn't relate to me then is something happened. Just use your imagination when she was about 5. And that's
Right.
why I stuck it out. Also, I thought, when my son was there, I thought I was going to stick it out. I felt very guilty that night. When I packed my suitcases, I felt very guilty. I thought I was the biggest a-hole in the world because, this is
Yeah.
what happened to her. I'm supposed to stand by her, and support
It's
her and
your wife.
everything. Yeah, of course, it's my wife, dude, and then,
What?
but something inside told me that she wasn't going to change. She
Tell
wasn't
me.
going to change.
Tell me that. All right. So I'm gonna say it there.
Mm,
Well, commonly what we've discovered, and just from the people I've spoken to,
mm.
almost every alienating parent has been abused in some sort of way as a
Yeah,
child.
yeah,
Okay, now
absolutely, absolutely.
what was that? Did you feel guilty? Did you kind of feel that you owed her something, and that's why you got into a relationship with her? Did you feel that you needed to protect her? Uh,
Now that
you
you
know,
mention it,
yeah.
now that you mention it, um, actually, yes,
Did that
you're right.
influence your decision to get married to her?
Now that you put it that way, yeah, it did. It
Because
did.
it
She
happened to
was.
me. That's what I'm
Mm.
saying. It happened to me.
I have to say, look, I will. I'm not going to disregard what happened to her as a child.
Yeah.
I do acknowledge it, but she was playing the victim from day one. She
That's
was
what
playing
I'm
victim
talking
from day
about.
one. Yeah, yeah. Never thought about it
So
that way. Thanks for that. Mm.
yeah. So when did why do you think your ex started so your son was how old when she started making well you'll tell me how she alienated your son from you, but how old was he when she started alienating him from you?
Okay, so we were living in Somerset West, which is
Yeah.
for people who don't know the area of the Western Cape. Somerset West is Hermanus is a coastal town. Where I'm sitting behind me, about I think 10 meters behind me is the beach, literally. No,
Right.
sorry, 110 meters. I'm kidding. But anyway,
Okay.
so we were going to we were going to move down to Hermanus because that's where I'm coming from. Because in 2018, he was 7 years old. He turned 7 in 2018. So we were going to come down to Hermanus and start over because the marriage wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
And so we knew that something was going to have to give. Something was going to have to give because it's not going anywhere. And the one night I remember I was sitting in my lounge. I just got up and I went to sit in the lounge because we were already sleeping in separate bedrooms by then. And So I just sat and I thought to myself, is this what it's come to? Is this what it's supposed to be? Because, sometimes you just know something is completely wrong, and it's never, how do I explain this? It's like when you're in the situation, it can be completely messed up, but sometimes you don't realize it until it is like 3 years down the line.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
to answer your question is, it was like, obviously it started when he was 8 years old, because in the beginning of 2019, I could still, he was visiting. And then as soon as she realized there was somebody in my life, she said, no, this is not going to happen. There was always an excuse. He got sick. That was a big card she played. And every time when he was supposed to come to me, no, he just got sick. He's got fever. He's got a runny tummy. All those tricks that you guys are all too familiar with. And around about 8. She started with the whole process of, alienating him from me, keeping him away from me for prolonged periods. And then the one thing, when COVID hit, when the lockdown hit, I mean, that was bread for her, because now there's an excuse. Of course, we couldn't visit back then. Although there was a thing in the government gazette that children from divorces can visit to and fro, but there was also an excuse for that as well.
No, that was an article that I read from Cyril. Cyril actually said that, especially if you got a court order, married fathers, if you got the court order in place, there's already a family plan, that access should not be restricted. So right now, I just wanna quickly ask the audience here, how many of you, type in the chat, if you have been alienated from your child since around March, April last year, and COVID being used as the reason. I can put my hand up for that one. So type in the chat, whether you're watching the replay or you're watching this live. Chris and I, there's 2 votes already. I just want to do a little tally here and see how many times this COVID card was pulled as a means of, alienation. Yeah. So, and why do you think your ex started alienating? Let's just.
Yeah, well, look, we were going to start, like I said, over in Manus, and when they start over, my stomach just turned when I said that. But anyway,
again,
whatever that means, man. But anyway, in our context, But so I started working here. I was gonna, take over a business from somebody else, and that was October 2018. That morning, the 1st of October 2018, I packed a bag of clothes and I left my home and to come to Hermanus. Little did I know that was literally the only possessions that I was going to walk out of the marriage with. I had no idea. That was literally the only possessions in the world that I would be walking out with, my bag of clothes. Only the necessary clothes, because I came to work. I didn't come to visit. I packed working clothes. So but anyway, to get back to this, to your question, somehow I just knew, when she made when we made the call, she made the call. She called me on the phone and said, "Listen, I came ahead to Hermanus, and my son and my ex stayed behind for him to finish his grade 1." Okay. And so at the end of that year, beginning of 2019, she called me and said, "Listen, she's not coming." And I said, "Okay, we sort of knew the marriage is kind of over, but now what about my son?" No, I will never withhold, I will never restrict you, I will never keep you from seeing him. But she chose her words very carefully, because she knew I was recording that call. She said, "I will never keep you from him, I will never keep you from seeing him. We're going to do this amicably." And all of that went out the window So it was like she was really taking revenge on me for being married to me, and she knew the place where she could really hurt me was my son. One thing I just want to tell the audience here: the night that he was born, the night that my son was born, I'm going to try and keep it together here. I took my son. I said to him, "Daddy is never going to leave you. Daddy's not going anywhere. Daddy will always be here. I promise you that. You know what? I had to break that promise to my son. It nearly killed me. That nearly killed me. The day that I had to tell my son, look, Daddy's not coming home, is I think a part of me died that day. Yeah. This is what they do. This is what they do to us. They completely. No, take a breath here, man. But they just completely rip the life out of us, and then somehow they just twist the story, and then we become the predators, and we become the what do you call it, the aggressors, and it's so far removed from reality, so far from the truth. And yet we're left with picking up the pieces, and the courts don't support us. The legal system don't support us. I mean, we're a joke to them.
By this time, I mean, you've had how many years of a relationship with this little boy?
Sure, man. Until he was 8, and the thing is, we call each other on the phone every morning and every evening. That's still permissible. But yeah, I never let a day go by without me talking to my son. Not one day, in one shape or form.
How are your calls with him? Is it still the same? Does it still sound the same?
No, it's not the same. No, we just
does he sound the same?
No. Look, I've been trash talked. I can promise you that. There was a lot of trash talking going on, and we're more like friends. We're not father and son at the moment. He calls me dad. He calls me papa. But it's more like a friendship thing. And whenever we get on the phone and he says, okay, but let's go into Minecraft, or we've got this equivalent of Minecraft game on the phone, and we both go into the game, and then we tell each other, okay, I'm building a house now, I'm building a stable, I'm building a farm, I'm riding a horse, that we do fun stuff. But right now, at the moment, I'm not really fathering my son. That's also that kind of hurts, I want to father my son. That's why I'm his dad in the first place,
When was the last time you've seen your son?
August 2020 for a day visit.
Yeah. So it's going on 2 years this year.
Before August, it was a year before I saw him. A year passed between August and the previous time was another year. So I mean, me seeing him in drips and drabs, it just messes him up. It completely confuses the kid. It's not good for him. It's not good for me. And she's sitting there, telling the world that she's protecting her son because I'm mentally unstable.
From what?
The term they came up with,
I
have DID, dissociative identity disorder, and I just want to put it out there to the viewers that I have a full medical report. I don't even take stress pills. There's nothing wrong with me.
Explain what DID is there quickly, Chris.
Okay, so what I've read is that it's the previous term for it was multiple personality disorder. It's when you have a lot of people living in your body or different personalities, and the one doesn't know what the other one does. So I would be at a braai, or let's say one of the personalities is at a braai, and then he switches into the next personality, and the next personality doesn't know how he got to the braai, and he's standing there, oh, how did I get here? So that's basically what it is, in a nutshell. And I've been in a Manus for 3 years now, and I think surely people would have picked up by now if I, yeah.
Well, I think I think you would have split here on the show. You held it together pretty well so far. Who am I speaking to now? Am I speaking to Chris, or who's your?
No, this is Chrissy, dude. This is Chrissy.
Who's the other guy?
I don't know, man. I don't know. If you can point him out to me, I'll be really happy. I'll be glad. You can point him out.
Sorry, I just need to read here quickly. So, dissociative identity disorder, a disorder characterized by the presence of two or more distinct personality states. Mm-hmm. Okay, as you said, it's multiple personality disorder. Now, I don't know how. As far as I know, this is a very rare disease, right?
It's very severe.
Yes, very severe. It's not like every
These
second
people end up in bad cells, man. They don't walk around among us. They end up in bad cells.
Yeah. Yes. So
can't you remember their name? I mean, I've got my cell number, my ID, my bank ID, my Google account, my Google account password. Everything is old school. It's in here. I don't write it down on a paper. You know, I've got, like I said, I can give you my ID number. I won't do it on the air, but I can
You know what?
give it to you.
You know what's sad, Chris? You know what's
Hmm.
sad for me is the fact that you have to actually entertain the shit and prove it,
Oof.
and you kind of have to defend yourself for this. Another tactic that
Oof. Yeah.
people use, alienators use, they make you go crazy, they make you look crazy. So
Yeah, they
um,
use the crazy making tactics, and when you
yeah,
react, see, he's crazy. Look at him. He's going off the rails there. You know, he's acting all crazy.
you
But they
can't
push you
get
over the
angry.
edge.
You must take everything with a smile. uh,
Yeah, turn into a
type in
zombie.
type yes in the chat if this has been done to you guys.
Hmm.
If you feel that yeah, you going crazy, or they've made you feel crazy, or they've accused you of being crazy. uh
Yeah.
I'd like to do a tally on that as well. Like I said, whether you're watching this live or you are watching the replay. So Chris, back to the questions here, just a
Mm-mm.
couple more. um you said that you've seen your son on and off for, well, the last time you've seen him was August in 2019, right?
2020.
2020.
2020. Yeah.
2020. Jeez.
Yeah.
um I'm and tell me what, I want to know what particular, what did the church, what role did they play here in this whole
Okay.
thing?
Yo, I was thinking all day. I've been thinking about, how am I going to answer this, and keep it together. But yeah, let's get into that. So when we moved down from the West Coast
Yeah.
to Somerset West, um, that company that I worked for closed down, and that wasn't in the building trade. I was a retail manager. So the
Right.
company closed down, and 3 days later, I had a new job and back in the building industry. So we had to come down to Somerset West, and I was at work, and she still stayed home. And little did I know that she was like, shooting route, so to speak, putting out the fingers to different church groups and everything.
Uh-huh.
And she, by the way, for 6 of the 9 years that we were married, we were in counseling. That was the thing. She was like addicted to counseling. Yeah, that's also one of the signs. Watch out for that. If somebody is forever in counseling
In
or with
counseling.
psychologists, then you need to just run, dude, run. Okay, so yeah, so we were still. I remember we was one of the. I knew one of the guys at one of the church. There's a lot of churches there in Somerset West, but yeah, he asked me, listen, he knew me from years before. He said, listen, you need to come and help us at the youth. Bring your wife with, but she was also she actually studied youth work. That's where we met, and so we got involved with the
Right.
youth there just for a brief period, and then my son became too busy. On a Friday night, you can't finish up at 11 o'clock with the youth and have a small boy. It just didn't work out. So during that time, while I was at work, she was being counseled by another lady from another church. I had no idea this was going on. And then when that season ended with the youth, I'm skipping a lot of detail for the sake of time. But when that season ended, and she said, we must go to this church, this particular church. And
Yeah.
it's like, I remember the morning when I got there, it's like people knew her and they had no idea who I was, but it's like they knew who she was. And I
Okay.
had no idea. Yeah, no, that's the first thing that I picked up. But the people were quite nice. They were very nice to me, in fact. And so we joined this home group, and that is where everything. As I'm sitting here, I'm still dumbstruck. I had no idea. Look, let me just get my words right here, and I will explain the scenario. It's like
Yeah.
we went to the home group and we were welcomed. Oh, Chris, so nice to meet you. I'm glad you came. Have a coffee, grab a cookie, and then yeah. So we had a nice time together, and then they had this that everybody had to share something out of their lives. If you've been through a difficult time, or if you want to testify something great, good that God has done in your life, and then they made this statement. They said, "This area, this is the highest of confidentiality. This area here, their living room, whatever
Yeah.
is said here, may never be repeated on the outside." Nobody is going to repeat anything. Yeah, that's a statement they made. This is a safe space for people to share whatever's going on in their lives. We're all grown people. We're all grown ups. So just share away if you feel you need to share anything. So yeah, that's a statement they made. So
Okay.
yeah, and then then yeah, the one night people started sharing a lot of things. And one thing I forgot to mention, just before my son was born, I got the news that my father died, that my father died. And that on top of everything, yeah, had to deal with that. And so right after my father died, that was still, I'm sorry, I'm going to move. That was when we were still back in the West Coast, not in Somerset. Sorry, this is important detail. So the one I felt that, like I said, I was lonely. I was way far away from my family. And then she came to me and said, listen, I want to go to this friend of ours. We had these people also in our church back then. She said, I just want to go to their house with our son for the night because you're very sad and he's feeling your sadness. And I said, okay, all right. It didn't make sense to me at the time. And I said, well, if that makes you happy, I'll go and drop you off. And yeah, so I dropped them off, came back home, and I slept it off. I've never been a big drinker. I didn't, and yeah. When I say I slept it off, I just, I dealt with my emotions, and in my head, I just said goodbye to my dad, because I didn't get the time to say goodbye to him. This is, yeah. Just like you, oh, thanks, man. It's going to happen, but when it happens, nothing prepares you for it,
Yeah.
It was one of those. So, yeah, so the next morning I went to work, and that friend lady brought my son and my ex back home, and she popped in at my work, and she asked me if I'm okay, am I doing all right, am I feeling better? I'm like, yeah, thank you very much. Little did I know what was going on. The story that happened as soon as I left the friend's home, the story that was told to her is I switched into another personality. See, that story started way before I even knew what was going on. I switched into another personality and I tried to roll the car with him. No witnesses. It's in a residential area, and I'm talking about a very small town. Believe me, if you're going to rev a car, never mind spin a wheel, if you're going to rev a car, the whole neighborhood's going to know.
Right.
If people would just take a look at that area on the street where she said it happened. If you can spin a car in that street, then you're bloody well. Then you're good. Then you're a bloody good driver. Anyway, I also when this story came out, I said to them, guys, you can put me on any polygraph in the world of your choice. I will not resist. I will gladly submit to any polygraph because this is hogwash. So this story got shared in the cell group, and I said, well, I have no recollection, but that's what she remembers. And then she was the one who spilled the beans, said, yeah, he was like diagnosed with DID. I was never diagnosed with DID. That church, again, they had a pastoral couple from another town. This is a whole flippin' nest, from another town.
So, since they got so involved with this, did they ever ask for proof that you've been diagnosed?
No, never. They just took a word for it. So yeah, so now we moved down to Somerset West, and I thought this story is going to die down. Thank God, because I know that I'm not mentally ill. I know, even when she started with the stories again, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to install a camera in the living room, and you can record me when I switch, and you can play it back to me. And she refused. She said, no, it's encroaching on her privacy. It's a living room. It's not your bedroom. It's a living room.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, she refused. She bluntly refused. And yeah, so that was shared in the home group one night. She was the one who said, yeah, he's been diagnosed, and I've never been diagnosed. The church sent me to one of their friends, which was in the same church group in another town. They sent me to the neighbor town where she was she had a practice. This psychologist had a practice there, the one that was in their church. So I filled out a form, one that she downloaded from Google. I just filled out the form.
Okay.
It wasn't a test. It's something. It still said the Google page, the name and everything. She downloaded the thing I can download it from Google. And then she said, "Yo, there are some like if you are dissociative, it would be like 5%. Yeah, hogwash story. But there's never been a report, and there was no follow up. There is no report on that. That I can tell you. There is no report.
Yeah.
There is no file with it. Nothing. So yeah, so that was shared that night. To come back to the home group, to come back to your question, what role did the church play? So they took that, they were eating that for sweet cake, and I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. So, and I had no idea that the wife of the cell group leader is counseling my wife back then. I had no idea that was going on, because I remember thinking, yes, this lady is way too informed. It's like talking about things that she thought happened in my house. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like she said something about, I shouldn't shout so much at my wife. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not shouting at my wife. I'm not shouting at
Okay.
my wife. It's like,
So
what's
she was
going on?
pre-framed. She was pre-framed, so to say.
Yeah, I was like, it was like a black smearing campaign, which she started
Yeah.
because it suits her purpose, and then I was like the church lab rat, because they were all studying counseling either online or at a college in Cape Town, and I was their guinea pig, so to speak.
Wow.
Look, I sound crazy to myself saying this, but this was what happened.
Wow.
So here's the thing: I had absolutely no idea that the cell leader and his wife didn't like me at all. I had no idea. I was dumbstruck. I was completely dumbstruck when I saw the report, which they drew up in their name to give to aid to my ex-wife to alienate my son from me. I had no idea that they disliked me. Every time when we went for a home group meeting, Chris, come here, man. So glad to see you. How was your day? Let's have a coffee. And I had no idea that these people did not even like me, not because of stuff that I did, because of stories coming from my ex. They didn't even bother to ask me about any of this. They didn't
Wow.
even bother to come to the house and ask me, listen, what's going on in your house? Chris, you're the priest of the house. What's going on in your house? They didn't even bother to ask me, is this and this and this stories that we've been hearing, is it true? And what can we do? Can we make it better for you? Can we do something to make it easier for you? Or whatever the case may be. None of that happened. They just took her word for it. And so here's what happened.
Yeah.
After I was still, we were in this WhatsApp group for the home group, for the cell group, this WhatsApp group. And right after I left, they said, no, stay in the group. You're part of the family. But then when my ex announced that, we're going to get divorced, well, we had the conversation, her and I had the conversation, we're going to get divorced. The message of the cell group leader
And
came through.
this was after how long that you guys have been married? When did you
Look,
divorce?
no, we were married for
How long
about
were
2
you
years when we moved down to Somerset.
Yeah.
And a year after that, when we moved down, a year after we moved down, we joined that church and that cell group. So we were there for about 4 years in the cell group. And like I said, for
Right.
4 years, I had absolutely no idea these people disliked me. I had no idea.
But how long were you married in total?
In total?
Yeah.
So you broke up there a bit. How long were we
Sorry,
married in total?
how long were you married? Yes.
Yeah, 8 years, almost 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you've got hair on your teeth, bro.
Look, I stuck it out, yeah, when you sign up for something, you don't just walk away.
Yeah.
You try
No,
and
you
make
were
it
all
work.
in.
But of
You
course,
were all in.
that's it works to my detriment, but that's part of my personality, But yeah, so just to finish up the story about the cell group.
Yeah.
So then the one evening, just after she announced to me that the marriage is over, and I said, well, obviously it wasn't really a marriage, but anyway, so the cell group leader, her husband, sent me a WhatsApp message and said, listen, you do understand that, things are sensitive in nature sometimes, and this is a high confidential, this is the highest of confidence or confidential area.
Right.
Would you mind leaving the group, because you are going to move on to a different town now, and you're moving on with that church there. That church in Somerset has got a branch here in Amanus. So they said, yeah, you're going to carry on with them, so would you mind leaving the group? And I said, well, okay, well, you've probably heard that things between me and her are over, and yeah. So I left the group. I wasn't out of the group for 10 minutes. Then look, I still have a few friends in that group. So if they're listening,
Yeah.
I hope they don't go around accusing everybody of, leaking news to me. But that was about my life, my personal life. WhatsApp is still part of social media. It's still classified as social media. You
Yeah.
don't put somebody's life in a WhatsApp group. That can still be shared. You
Yes.
share in a small group because
Easily be
that's
shared.
word of mouth, and there's nobody's recording that. They shouldn't be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So he sent me a screenshot of my ex-wife posting everything, the whole shebang on WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group of that small group. Yeah, Chris and I have agreed to get a divorce, and please pray that it will go smoothly. And I still need to fetch my stuff. Yeah, we brought everything down to Hermanus in the meantime. I still
Right.
need to go and fetch my stuff in Hermanus. Please pray that will also go smoothly, and that everything regard my whole life being thrown my whole life for that period thrown on WhatsApp. So I contacted him, the cell group leader, and I sent him the screenshot. I said, listen, I just cropped the name out, of course. I sent him
Yeah.
the screenshot, and I said, listen, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable because you can't. This is pertaining my life as well. She should discuss that in privacy, not throw it on WhatsApp, because the last time I checked, WhatsApp was still social media.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unethical. But he
Yeah.
was, of course, his reaction. I was taken aback with his reaction. Yeah, but you are not supposed to know what's going on in the group, and we have a mole among us. I'm like, dude, this is not a movie. This is not the FBI. This is not
Mo-
flipping
the
NCIS.
mob. maybe
Yeah,
maybe
the
the
mob.
mob. Maybe they are. Yeah.
I said to him, no, listen, this is unacceptable. Okay, so please just tell her to stop. Yeah, but I have
Yeah.
no control over the people. No, you're the cell group leader. You're the leader. Tell them to stop, please, and take that down. Um, People don't have to get into my personal life now. You guys carry on with your life. She's going to carry on with her life on that side. I'm going to carry on with my life on this side of the mountain. And then as time went on, maybe I shouldn't use that phrase, but yeah, shortly after that,
Yeah.
I went to the branch here in Hermanus and introduced myself, and I could see that people were sometimes looking at me funny, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
maybe I'm strange. I'm from a bigger town, which can be classified as a city compared to Hermanus.
Right.
And then it became apparent. I joined another cell group here, because that's sort of what I know. So that's my life. So I'm just going to carry on with that. It's nice to mingle with
But
people
this is
with the same
sounding more
idea.
like a cult to me than anything
Yeah,
else.
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. But I joined the cell group, and about 3 months later, this cell group leader here, the local one, called me in and said, Chris, I'm going to have a chat with you. I'm like, sure, yeah. What's up? That's now after, him and I, spent some time talking together. He was really supportive when I said, okay, the marriage is now over. He was
Right.
really, really supportive. And he said to me, listen, just before you arrived, I knew you were coming. I'm like, what, are you prophetic now? Are you clairvoyant? Or how does this work? He says, no,
Did-
the pastor told me.
oh,
I'm
okay.
like, this is news. How did he know? He said, no, the Somerset pastor phoned him up. And okay, I'll add something just now. The Somerset pastor phoned him up and said, listen, there's a mini Hitler coming your way. Be careful.
Oh.
And the pastor passed it on to the cell group leader, because he said, listen, this guy's coming to your cell. He lives close by, close to you. So he's coming to your cell. Just prepare yourself. And he said, listen, my wife and I have been watching you. It's been 3 months. It's been close to 4 months. And I said, according to all the psychology books, you can only hide yourself for 3 months. And we're not seeing any of that. And I'm like, I am totally, again, dumbstruck, because the senior pastor of that church has never seen the inside of my house. Him and
Right.
I had three, during the 4 or 5 years that I've been in that church, even in the band, we had 3 brief conversations, and it was about church stuff. And he was the one who called this pastor up and said, listen, there's a Hitler coming your way. Again, heard stories from the ex-wife, and he took it for gospel truth. And yeah, again, I was taken aback. I'm like, this guy doesn't even know me. We've never had a meaningful conversation, yet he knows that I'm now a Hitler mini. That to me was
I
like, yeah,
I mean, look, human nature, or rather what should be, is to listen. There's two sides of the story. I like to say there's three
absolutely.
sides. There's
Mm.
your side, there's her side, and then there's the truth.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know how church leaders, pastors can't well, don't apply that. Is that not, please, if you're watching this and you're a church leader or pastor, is that not leadership 101 there? That, I mean, a judge,
Mm,
well, that's something that I'm discovering as well now, that judges don't even listen to both sides of the
no,
story.
no, they don't. No, they make up their own minds real quick. The one thing
But
I just
as you
want
were
to
saying, yeah,
no, sure. I just want to put this out there. I'm not condemning all churches, but again, if I may, on your show, I just want your permission just to
yeah,
share something and just to request
share
something
anything.
of the church leaders. Please, if you're a pastor or a dominee or whatever, and I'm saying I'm
Priest,
very careful when I say this. There's a very fine line, and please forgive me, but there's a very fine line between a pastor and a disaster. So you need to find out, you need to determine for yourself on which side of the line you are, because there's nothing in between. And if you're a church leader and you're listening to me or to me and Dominic right now,
yeah,
you simply cannot partake in parental alienation. That's going to be the new buzzword. It's not just a buzzword, it's a reality. It might be going on in your church. And I'm begging you, please do not allow it to fester in your church, because then you're partaking in it. Then you're playing a part in it. This is exactly what happened to me and this church in Somerset West. I've been trying for a few days now to get a hold of the pastor, because I wanted to ask him, how in the world can you allow the cell group leaders to put stuff out there way out of context, and stuff that was supposed to be shared in privacy, they're just making it public. And there's whenever I phone the church, I've got recordings of it. Whenever I phone the church office, they have excuses. No, he's in a meeting. Oh, he's busy. He can't come to the phone right now. And sometimes they just don't pick up at all. So, but yeah, that's what I wanted to put out there. And obviously, I'm not saying all churches. Yeah, I'm not saying all churches are bad. Please, I'm not condemning the church as a whole, but definitely churches cannot be partakers in parental alienation. It's a malicious act, and it's destroying people. We've lost so many people along the way. So many people have committed suicide. People don't know this until I met, I think it's Deirdre. Hey,
yeah,
Dominic, her name is Deirdre.
yes,
Before I met
Deirdre.
Deirdre, I had no idea that there are parents all over the country in the thousands, like almost over, I can't remember the stat she gave me, but more
I
than
know
1,000 people commit suicide because
we don't have definite stats now, because it's a very sensitive issue, and a lot of
yeah, yeah.
the families left over. It's embarrassing. They don't want to talk about it, that their son or
Okay.
their
Okay.
daughter
So,
has
so I'm not going to
committed
mention
suicide.
numbers here, but
No,
one is one too
but
many.
but we can say at least
Hmm.
one person a day definitely does
What?
commit suicide
One a day?
every day.
That's way too
One
many.
a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I have to share about the cell group on the other side of the mountain again. Um, that friend of mine, there are a few of them are still in that cell group. Okay, the one that shared this with me has left. So I hope I don't give his position away now, the mole. But they were standing in a circle, holding hands, praying. And they were praying, said, Lord, please do not let Chris get access to his son. My son was within earshot, he heard it all.
What?
Now, how the hell can these people call themselves a church and they call themselves people of God? And this is what they do. This is what they do. I'm stumbling over my words because I have no words. My son heard it with his own 2 ears. Lord, please do not let Chris get access to his son.
Did your son tell you this?
He didn't tell me, but my friend told me. He said my
Oh,
son
right.
was. He said the life drained out of him. He turned pale white. He could see it. And he asked him,
Yeah.
"Listen, are you sure you should be doing this?" And they said, "No, don't worry. There's stuff that you don't know, but we're just going to pray for them." Yeah, and then, yeah, I don't want to get into. Again, also part of the church in that particular cell group was a guy who fancied himself to be a qualified counselor. And this guy is as big as a bloody house. Sorry, if I get offensive, also please forgive me,
No,
Dominic.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
You be
no,
you.
this guy.
This show is called The Dirty.
One night I was like sitting at my house, and these messages came through from a strange number. Hi, my name is so and so, and I'm a friend of your ex-wife, and I'm a qualified counselor, And I can tell you there's no way that she's going to let you have your son for the weekend. That's after I said to her, listen, because that visit in 2020.
Where were all these people the 8 years that you were in your child's life?
Where were they?
Where were all of the? Did they help raise your son?
No, not at all. They were nowhere near the picture. They were nowhere in the picture. They were at their houses tending to their own, and then all of a sudden they're an expert about my life on that side of the mountain as soon as I left. Then they all of a sudden knew me intimately. They knew exactly what was going on in my house. But the sad thing is they've never been to my house. Yeah, we call them flying monkeys. There's well, if it's the right term. So this guy sent me.
They call us flying monkeys.
Yeah, they must get their facts straight, dude. So, but then he sent me this text messages. There's no way that. Sorry, let me just get back to that visit in 2020 in August, when the last time I saw him was supposed to be 2-day visits for integration, because we haven't seen each other for a year before that, just so he can get used to me and we can just pick up, and then he would come for the weekend. And that Wednesday when I called and I said to her, listen, I'm picking him up on Friday. She said, no, you're not. I'm not letting him come. It's not going to come to you. I'm a danger to my son, according to her. I pose a danger to him. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I have no words. I don't know where she gets that off. So, right. So let me just.
So what's standing in the way of you seeing your son right now? What's standing in the way of you seeing him right now? I know today. So sorry, you go ahead.
Okay, no, just to finish up the story about that big guy who texted me. I said to him, listen, just back off, please. Just don't get yourself involved here. You don't know what you're talking about. And then, because I told him to back off, he turned around, and my ex turned around and said, listen, but I was very aggressive towards him. And I said, well, you think I'm going to invite him for tea and cookies? What do you think? I don't know this guy from a bar of soap, and here he's telling me that he can now regulate my visits with my son. Who does this guy think he is? I mean, is he flipping delusional? I'm sorry. I just said to him, he must rather focus on his eating habits in the middle of my life. Sorry. But so what's standing between me and seeing my son? She just refuses access, where she's living right now with her parents. They've got these high, big gates. And that's why I threatened that Friday when I was supposed to pick him up. And she said, no, you're not taking him. It's not going to happen. Who's going to supervise? I'm like, what are you talking about? There's no supervision plans in place. There's no court order for that. What are you talking about? And
were you supervised? Were you supervised up until the age of 8 years old as you were in your son's life?
Never. Every Saturday, as often as we could. My son and I used to go down to the beach. We were playing around there on the beach, picking up shells and little cobblestones. We brought it home, and he was so proud to show his mom what we found. And I picked him up from school by myself, unsupervised, jeepers, flip it. And his grade 1 teacher, just a few days ago, the principal got hold of his grade 1 teacher, and she said, why didn't you guys just ask me? I've been sitting right under your nose. And she didn't know that there was this infight going on. But anyway, the school invited me to come down because there's another problem. And when I arrived at the school, the one morning when she wasn't supposed to be on the office side, she was at the office side. And she ran into the school and said, this man is not allowed to be here. There's a court order. No, there's no court order. The school principal asked me to produce the court order, and it doesn't exist. So that Friday when I said to her, when I was supposed to get my son, I said to her, listen, either you let me have him for the weekend or I come with the police and fetch him. And then the next morning, the restraining order, or the next afternoon, the restraining order was in my mailbox.
Wow.
The policeman who brought the restraining order, I will never forget this. He said to me, because I thought this guy's gonna just sweep the floor with me, because the police don't like abusive men. This guy, I remember, I will never forget this. And I wish I could say his name in the air, but this guy, I will never ever forget what he told me. He looked me straight in the eye. He stood up straight. He looked me straight in the eye, and he said, you know what? He said, listen. He asked me if I'm a praying man, and I said, well, yes, sir, in my better days, I am. And he said, listen, I want to tell you something. And he put his hand on my shoulder. I will never forget this as long as I live. He said, Job also lost everything. I mean, this guy didn't know me from a bar of soap. Just for the sake of detail, colored policeman.
No. Go into
This guy didn't know me from a bar of soap. He said, listen, he says, none of this, what you're about to read, I can tell you, he told me, I can tell you none of this, what you're about to read is true. He says, I can see it in your eyes.
Wow.
None of this is true. But you need to stand fast, and you need to know that you're going to have to pray now more than ever before in your life. He says, I'm sorry to have to hand this to you. And then he just stood there right there and then on the pavement. He didn't care who saw us, but he prayed for me right there and then. I never saw him again, but I will never forget this as long as I live. I will never forget this man. I will never forget his face, the sincerity in his eyes. You know, when he was like, he was looking right through me. You know, I got a bit scared. You know, he's a big guy, tall guy.
Yeah.
And but he said to me, "You better not stop praying. You have to keep praying," because he actually, before I met you guys, before I met you and Kyle, he said to me, "This is a big demon, and you need to keep praying. You need to stay on your knees to fight this one." And you need to do what you have to do. You know, it's not always going to be, it's never going to be nice in a fight like this. But anyway, yeah, so that's standing in the way between, you know, I have approached the children's court in Worcester, and they've done a thorough investigation, and they gave a report, 84 pages long report. This is where the whole thing came out, where the people in the cell group just, you know, shared with the world my whole pedigree, which they thought was true. And yeah, telling how bad I am. I can't hold a job. I've never been fired in my life. I've never even signed a written warning in my life. The only times when I changed jobs was when the company closed down that I worked for. I mean, after the recession, it hasn't been the same. You know, the recession is long gone. But now COVID is also sort of a recession. But anyway, I do keep busy. I do have my part-time things and my online things. You've seen some of it today.
Yes.
Yeah, so the thing is, I couldn't believe, you know, that they went out of their way. You know, I had a slight, and I really say slight disagreement with one of the worship leaders in the church. This guy and he told the people, just stay out of it. Chris and I will sort it out. You know, we're still very close today, me and this guy. She brought that up. It was like, I'm telling you, it's not even a grain of sand, but they made it into Mount Everest, that I couldn't get along with the worship leaders. Never in my life has that been true. Not even then. It's just him and I had a slight disagreement because there was a misunderstanding. I misunderstood him. And so he said, oh, man, let's go have a coffee. I'm so sorry. And he said, no, I'm sorry. My reaction was also really quick. And we just, you know, proverbially kissed and made up, you know. And he's an awesome musician, this guy. So even I, you know, whenever we can, we just jam it out, you know. Okay, but I'm on this side of the mountain now. But they made this. He wasn't even part of a cell group. She had no business bringing that in. So she really went out of her way to blacksmear me. And I still, you know, I'm really no troublemaker. Anyone who knows me will tell you, Dom, that I'm not a troublemaker. I'd rather just walk away, you know. I don't go and look for trouble.
Chris, when we spoke the first time, you told me something about, I don't know if you said it was another pastor, and you showed him something in your drawer.
Oh,
don't you want to go through that story just quickly there as to what you are capable of and what you haven't used? just tell the audience there, please.
Okay, now I will tell them that the one night I was working late and I was dog tired. And when I got home, I just pulled into the driveway with a work bucket, and I got out and there was a man standing in my door because I wanted to go into my house. It's 8:00 at night. I'm really tired. I'm really hungry. I just want to see my son, you know, assuming that he has been bathed and everything. So I walked up and I said, excuse me, sir, can I help you? And he said, good evening, are you Chris? I'm like, yeah. He said, can we just talk on the lawn, please? I'm like, is everybody okay? He says, no, they're okay. I just want to make sure that you're okay. And I was like, what the hell is this? So he came out to me and he was also like, didn't really know how to approach me. It's like, this doesn't look right. The whole picture in front of him didn't look right. So he said, are you calm? I'm like, I think so, because I'm really, really tired. I've been working all day. You know, I was in the building industry and I was working on site. I was working physically, you know. And he said, listen, before we go in, I just want to make sure that you're calm and you're not going to hit your wife again. I'm like, huh? Hit my wife? What the hell just happened? I'm like, I've been at work all day. Now, apparently this happened last night. So, of course, I went into my house and I'm like, what are you doing? I asked her, the pastor's wife was sitting with her, and then she broke down in tears when I came around the corner. She said, I can't take this anymore. And she just, you know, He,
Oh,
very,
the
I can't
you
take
know,
this anymore. And the tears started flowing. And the pastor said, no, 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 just calm down. I'm like, dude, I'm calm. Please, I am calm. I'm just really hurt. What is going on? Why would you say that I'm? And funny enough, talking about this, I'm trying to remember where my son was when all of this was going on. I think it was in his room. They got him to play with his Lego or something. So I said to the pastor, listen, I want to show you something because there's no way that I would hit my wife. So I took him into my room and uh, yeah, I'm not always comfortable sharing this because it's not bragging or talking big, but I opened my drawer and I took my black belt out. I do hold a black belt in Goju-Ryu Karate. And I showed it to the pastor. I said, listen, this is what I've earned in my life. There's no way that I would swing at my wife because if I connect, it's going to really hurt her. I've been training since I was 4. My dad started training me since I was 4. But anyway, I said to him, I've been doing this for most of my life. There's no way that I would hit my wife. And so he called his wife into the room and showed it to her. And she went back and said, listen, what really happened here? Because you said he hit you in the face, and I don't see any marks on your face. So the story got reduced to I hit her.
just back up there quickly,
Hmm.
Chris, before you
Hmm.
continue, just so that the audience understands. What does it take to earn a black belt?
Okay. In my particular style, you don't just, especially when you reach the 3rd dan, you don't just go for a grading. They interview you and they make sure that you are mentally sound, that you can handle the responsibility. That you're not going to go around and have this air about you. Hey guys, I'm a black belt. I'm the man, and I'm going to kick your ass. This is
Yeah,
not Hollywood. This is not
it's not
the
the
Van Damme
Karate Kid
movie.
movie.
No, absolutely. No. This is absolutely. And I mean, I was a sensei also at the way beginning of the marriage. I was training kids and everything. So to earn a black belt, just the junior black belt, the short dan, the 1st dan, you have to be mentally sound and you have to be at least 18 years of age in my style because they're not going to give it to a kid. He wouldn't know what to do with it. No disrespect to the other styles when they do award black belts to younger children, but in my style, you have to be at least 18 years of age. They thoroughly interview you. It's all the big senses and the Shihan master Shihan. He also
Right.
they put you through it's more like an interrogation session. They want to check
Right.
where you're at in your mind. What do you view? What do you see karate as? Is it a tool? Is it a weapon? Or is it just a sport to you? Or is it something that you apply in your life where you just don't give up and now you come to the workplace and there's a challenge and still you don't give up and you work through it? That kind of thing. So that is what it takes.
Yeah.
They will if they suspect that you're off, that something slight could be off. They're not gonna that you're not even gonna go do the grading. They wouldn't even let you in with the grading, the exam, the grading. You're not going to do they're not going to let you in. So that's what it takes.
So back to
Hmm.
back to the wife now asking, well,
Hmm.
there's no marks in your face. It doesn't look like you've been hit. What's happening here? So what happened in?
Yeah, she said, "Listen, you haven't because she was sitting like this all the time with her hands in the with her face in her hands, and the
Yeah.
pastor's wife. And by the way, I had no idea who these people were. I only found out at the end of the evening that he's actually a pastor from a church nearby. They always rope in the pastors,
Right. Right.
well, in my
Yeah.
case, they
Because they're
always
easy
rope in
to
those people.
influence. But all right, from
Exactly.
from from your story, it seems like they're very easy to influence.
Some of them are. I mean, like I said, a woman, and again, I'm not a chauvinist, but some women, when a woman raises her hand, listen, my husband is abusing me, and just sheds a little tear, the world will rally behind her. I promise you that.
Wow.
Yeah. And also, the flip side, some men can, invoke a lot of sympathy by playing victim. But okay, that's another story. But
Yeah, but
so
you
the
can't you
story,
can't cry. The police will laugh at you.
yeah, you
I
got,
actually
yeah.
I actually went in there hysterical and yeah, it didn't
Mm.
turn out well.
Yeah, that too.
Anyways,
I went to our police station. Yeah, the same story there. But yeah, so she went to my then wife, and she said, "Listen, please just lower your hands. Just take your hands off your face." And then she said,
yeah.
"Listen, you're not." But the hand came off like this. It didn't come off
Oh,
like this. She
oh,
was like,
oh, okay. Then.
she was reluctant to let go of,
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
close her face there. And she said, "Listen, you don't look like you've been hit. What's going on here?" So the story got reduced from "I hit her with a fist" to "I hit her with my words." And then the wife said, "But listen,
Oh,
that's not what you said a minute ago. You were sitting here telling me how he hit you, and you flew through the air. What's going on? What do you think you're doing?" you're
But
not honoring
Chris,
your husband.
but Chris,
Mm.
you know what they say? Words sometimes hit harder than punches, even if you got the belt
Definitely, I
black
do
belt.
agree. No, you're absolutely right. But again, that didn't happen because, I'm the kind of
Anyways, I'm
guy,
just
I've
trying to bring
been.
some light to this craziness. Yeah.
No, definitely. No, absolutely, man. I'm with you there. Um,
Yeah.
I would just walk out of a conflict situation because it's, if you're not going to get through to somebody, if you're not going to reach, if you're going to get through to them, I see absolutely no point in carrying on with the argument because I'm
Yeah.
just going to waste my breath. So I just remove myself from the equation. Maybe later I might try again if I feel I really have a point. But anyway, so then the pastor's wife said, "But what went on here?" And I said to her, "But listen, since okay, you say I hit you with my words. What was the conversation? Because I was trying to think what happened the night before. I was standing there totally flabbergasted, like, what is she talking about?" And then she mumbled something that I said about complaining about the food, and then said, "Listen, I have never complained about her food ever." She was gaslighting me, dude, all over the place. And the pastor's wife said, "Listen, what is really going on here? Because something is really off about your story. You're being my ex-wife. Said, something is really
Mm.
off about your story. What's going on?" And then when she said the words, "But you are not honoring your husband the way that God wants you to honor your husband." And she said, "Yeah, but when does the man
Yeah.
ever honor the woman?" And then the pastor jumped in and said, "Listen, where was he all day? Where was he? Was he with another woman? Was he at the beach? Where was he?" She said, "No, he was working. Working for what? For
Yeah.
and she says, "Oh, he's working to provide for you. So how is he not honoring you?" And then the tears flowed and said, "Yeah, but this is a man's world, and God is also a man, and he wouldn't even understand." She said, "No, no, no.
Oh.
You're completely going off track here. What is going on?" So they offered to sit there. They will walk a road with us.
Okay.
I said, "Listen, please do not bother. All due respect to you,
Okay.
Mr. Pastor, man.
I
All
I have an I have another question. Yeah.
sure, go
Um,
for it."
and this is not to put you in any trouble, but has your ex ever been for a psychological assessment?
Yeah. She refuses to let me see it. But yeah, the one thing that the same psychologist, clinical psychologist that has evaluated me um, to disprove that I have this DID, dissociative identity
Right.
disorder. This guy is brilliant, by the way. I don't want to put his name in the air, but this guy is flippin' amazing. I couldn't sit behind a desk. I had to sit exposed to him. He wanted to read my body language and everything. And I
Right.
mean, he just did the funniest things, like started cutting up a paper. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I started picking up the paper, and he started smiling. He just smiled and he made his notes and listen,
Right.
there's no way that you are dissociative because you are so in touch with what's going on around you. You are in
Right.
touch with your reality. But there's
Yes.
also, it was like 6 hour evaluation. So he asked me questions about how she reacted in different situations. Also, that was almost like an hour in, not interrogation, but yeah, let's call it. He hit me with
Yeah.
questions and he said, "Okay." He said, "Sir, I have bad news. Your wife is suffering from borderline personality disorder." That was his
Oh.
professional opinion, but he said, "I would have the only way that he can confirm it, obviously, is if he sees her in person." But everything that I've described to him, and
I mean, there's
if I
YouTube
may share
videos. You
this,
can go on YouTube. It's just this they use the
yeah, I mean,
same.
if you scratch yourself, if your forearms are forever scratched and scratch marks for forever, then that's the first sign, and that unfortunately is one of the symptoms. I've never known her without
Wow.
the forearms being scratched.
Being scratched,
Like, yeah.
like deep scratches, like scars.
More
Wow.
like small holes, like taking chunks of a skin out.
Mm.
Yeah. And then she wanted to tell me it's flea bites when we just met, but the fleas never
Wait.
left. Sorry. Sorry, sorry, man.
Nah,
Yeah,
bro,
she
I'm
wanted to tell me
glad
it's
you
flea
can
bites.
laugh about it today. I'm glad you could laugh. You can laugh about it. Now we're not making fun of anyone
No, no, sure. I
with
mean,
disorders,
but
but
yeah,
check your mental health, people. You know what? Check your
yeah,
mental
please
health.
do.
Stop imposing this. And and and
Mm,
and anyone in the legal profession. I mean, in I mean, guys, you social workers, police officers,
Mm.
lawyers, policemen, you've given such a great responsibility. But
Mm.
is that where it ends with you learning? You don't go any further
Mm.
and try and just hone in on skills. I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
digital marketer, but I promise you, every day I go in and I learn something new. Please,
Mm.
man, just do that for us.
Mm.
The world is gone
Yeah.
crazy. It's
Mm.
time now to figure out what the crazy is here. Just go on
Yeah.
YouTube, type in these things that we were talking about, personality disorders. Just type in the personality disorders, and there'll
Mm.
be a list. Type in parental alienation and the personality disorders associated with it, and start educating yourselves. All right. We are trying as much to create awareness around this, and it's not a
Mm.
laughing matter. Although I had a great laugh now, but seriously, it's something we didn't know about. Chris didn't know about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been in a bloody 8-year marriage if he did.
Mm.
Otherwise, then I would have had other questions for you, yeah, Chris. But yes, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying.
Mm.
You were duped, man. You were duped.
Mm.
It's unfortunate that smart people are manipulated with this, but
Mm.
we have emotions, we have love, and that's what these people prey on. It's
Yeah.
it's manipulation. I want to
Mm.
ask you one last question, Chris, before we end off,
Sure.
and I know this might be a tough one. You've gone through hell, man. Obviously, having to prove yourself mentally stable.
Yeah.
How has this affected you?
Um. In short, look, I feel ripped to pieces, man. It's like a part of me, and not even my soul. My body felt like a part of my body was just ripped out of me while I was awake. And not even sedated, just ripped out of me. Uh, when she told me before the alienations started, that was bad enough. When she told me that the marriage was over, and please forgive me when I admit that I wasn't heartbroken about her because it's been over 4 years. Actually, I hung on obviously because I made a commitment. I wanted to support her and be there for her, but mainly, and I'll be honest about it, mainly for my son. Um, but yeah,
Right.
how it has affected me, I'm broken.
You do anything to be in the same house.
Yeah, you would do anything because that night when I
Correct.
realized, I was relieved that the madness was finally over. I was relieved, but when it hit me that my son is no longer a part of my everyday life, we're not even in the same town. Yeah, I think part of me, like I said, part of me died. Part of me died. That was bad enough. Now add parental alienation to that. I mean, it's a miracle that I'm still around. It is a miracle. Don't worry, I don't have suicidal tendencies, and I'm really not making light of that. But it's a
Yeah.
miracle that I'm still around, and I can just thank God for that because I don't think in myself. I don't think I'd be strong enough in myself. I can handle a lot of things, but that's not one of them. So it has changed me as a person. You're never going to be the same again. You and I mean, I've heard part of your
Yeah.
story as well. We're never going to wake up the next day the same again. As it were before when we still had our kids in our lives. There's a
Yeah. Is
reason why
there
we are
is there a day
parents.
go is there a day that goes by that you don't think about your child?
Never. There's not even a minute that goes by that I don't think about him. We were very, very close. We used to do woodwork together. He was with me in my workshop. We were very, very close. He you know, he copied everything that I did. The one time, I can share this. This is safe to share.
Yeah.
The social workers won't jump up and down now, but I was putting in sleeves in the holes for. We're making a bookshelf, and I was
Yeah.
putting in the little sleeves for the copper ring for the shelf to sit on.
Right.
And I left the hammer on the shelf. The shelf was lying flat, and I left the hammer, and I could hear that. Doof, doof, doof. I'm like, what is this kid gonna? I think he was 3 years old. He was 3 years old. He was
Yeah.
watching me. He took the sleeve and he really drove it
Wow.
home with the hammer perfectly. And I'm like, my goodness, he didn't even miss. He didn't hit the wood. He was knocking on the sleeve and they put it in perfectly. because that's how daddy did it. That's how close we were. And now I'm playing Minecraft with my son, and that's about it. That's the only relationship we have. It's alienation. When you say alienation, it literally is alienation, because we don't really know each other anymore. We like I said,
she's slowly erasing you from his mind even.
that is a goal. That is a
Do
goal,
you
unfortunately.
do you know what the strategy is that I found out, Chris? Is that they wait it out until the child is 12 years old so that they can drag the child to court and say, all right, you have a choice now. And because the child has been alienated from you and they've been abused and threatened, what do you think they're gonna say where they want to live?
Oh man.
So I didn't
Yeah.
wanna I didn't wanna throw that one at you, but I want you to be aware that this is what's happening. This is what we're fighting against.
Yeah.
Every day my eyes are opening up wider and wider. What I thought I knew yesterday, I tell you, every day I learn something new. But we're not
I have
stupid.
to. No. Look, yeah, no. Look, you're right. We're not stupid, but I have to also admit, the first time that Deirdre left me a message, explained because I knew when I saw the parental alien, I saw the logo alienation, I thought this is as bad as it can get. In my case, I thought it couldn't get any worse, and it doesn't go deeper than that. The first voice note that she left me, I actually wanted to block her from
Yes,
WhatsApp, because I thought this lady is completely bonkers. She's out of her mind. And then
Deirdre has that effect on people, but she
now I
just she
thought she
just
was, she
gives you
was
the
losing it,
brutal
and then I
honor.
realized, listen, this is actually what we're up against. When I thought about it, first I thought, like I said, I will admit, I thought she was crazy. I thought that she was off her head. And then the very first podcast or broadcast that you and Carl did that one evening,
Yeah.
I'm like, and I realized that, look, she is. It's not this. It's not that she's just got a point. This, what she's describing, is exactly what we're facing and more.
Deirdre
That
is
was,
ju-
to me, that
De-
was, yeah.
Deirdre is just sorting out um, device issues.
Mm.
Promise she's going to be joining us on the show. She's gonna be co-hosting the show, and this lady is
Mm-mm.
amazing. You're gonna hear everything, well, backed up by science as well. What science is already out there. She's a
Mm-mm.
human sciences researcher, and I felt the same when she started telling. I actually said to her, "D, I don't feel better talking." She says, "No, I'm not trying to make you feel better. I'm trying to open your eyes. I'm
Yeah,
trying
she
to
told
make
me
you
the
see
same.
what's
Yeah.
happening. What's happening right here. We'll get to feeling better
Mm.
once you open your eyes and you start fighting against this thing, because this is
If
what's
you know what
happening
you're
to your child
fighting.
right now." Yes,
Yeah, look, and if I might, yeah, this may not
yes,
have much
Ed.
to do with this conversation, but I just realized now, talking to you, during that time after the marriage was over and everything, I've met someone new, and yeah, she came at the right time, dude. If ever there was an angel, I can promise you that. But
Yeah,
she was actually, and I think she was holding back on me, to because if she had to break it to me the way that Deirdre broke it to me, I think
yeah,
that would have killed me. Because like she's too close for comfort, she's too close to this. But she was like trying to tell me that, listen, this is she also. I remember the one evening she looked. We just started seeing each other, and she said, listen, this demon might be bigger than you think. And I said to her, no, this is what's going on. And this is what's going to happen in the court. Yeah, right. Nothing that they promised me in court ever happened. Nothing. All those promises, nothing came of that. And I really, again, I don't want to knock the social workers. And but yeah, she was trying to warn me. So listen, this might be bigger. And like I said, I had no idea how big it was until when I say outside, somebody outside of my, my close circle could really tell me, this is what you're facing. You just don't know it yet.
yeah, yeah. We're facing massive demons. The devil
Hmm.
himself, if I can say so.
Oh yeah, look, if you can destroy families, if the devil can destroy families, if you can destroy father and son relationships, father-daughter relationships, the one thing that they will always attack is the father. Because if you can if you take the fathers out of the picture, you destroy communities, you destroy countries. If you take
That's
fatherhood out of the equation, the world will flip and implode. And I'm not being dramatic, that's a fact.
no, that's a fact. That is a
Yeah.
fact. Uh, guys, we've come to the end of the show. Anything else you want to add in closing the show? I'm sorry, Chris. Listen to me, show. My mouth is dry.
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
yeah. No, I
I
came
should have
prepared.
drank.
No,
I should have had some water. Yeah, nice,
yeah, yeah.
nice. Thanks for
No,
reminding me
the
that,
one
Chris.
thing, yeah, I just want to add on to what you said just a minute ago. People, just check yourselves. Evaluate yourselves where you're at for your own survival, for your own sanity. If you're finding yourself in the same position that Dominic and Kyle and I are in, then please just check yourselves. And yeah, and again, to everyone in a leadership position, if it's a church or a mosque, synagogue, please do not. You cannot partake in this cup of demons, so to speak. Please,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I want to put out there. And make sure, just if you know of a couple that has been through divorce, make sure you go and make it your business to find out, is there a good relationship between father and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter. Make sure that all the relationships are intact, please. That would eradicate there wouldn't be an opportunity for parental alienation to fester in your church, synagogue, or whatever, mosque, whatever. Yeah, that's my closing line.
Thank you, Chris. And I want to invite anyone who comes. Okay, Chris, just tell me one
Hmm.
last one.
Hmm.
What has it done for you to be able to tell your story without anyone looking at you funny, without anyone calling you
Hmm.
crazy? Well, this will be seen by hundreds of people, and if we put some money behind it, it could be seen by thousands of people. And the new strategy that we're actually going to use is to educate people even
Hmm.
around your son, so that your son is protected. You've been removed, but there are people in that
Yeah.
community that need to know the truth and look after that little boy, and they can now with
Hmm.
this. So what does it mean to you that you were able to finally get this out, and it could possibly be shown to the people that could potentially protect your son?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you earlier for this opportunity, because I don't think that I'll ever be able to explain to you in particular what this means to me. I mean, you and Kyle and Deirdre, everybody. I mean, you in particular, because putting in this time at this time of the night, sitting down with me, a complete stranger. It means the world to me, and that's a way understatement. That I could speak all these crazy things, share all these crazy things. People, you know, like I said, I sound crazy to myself. I don't have the words to say. I sound crazy for myself when
Yeah.
I hear myself speaking these things or speaking about these things. So yeah, it means the world to me, and the relief. It really feels like, I know I still have a long way to go, but it's like a big weight. It's just off me, off my chest, and off my lungs. I can breathe again, almost. Yeah, something like that. I
Right.
think that's the closest description.
Let me give you more confirmation, Chris. Your story is crazy. You are not. Not one.
Thanks, man.
It's been almost 1.5 hours now, and you managed to keep Henk out of the picture. Your alter ego, whoever he is. Whatever
Good
you
one, man.
named him.
Yeah,
So,
good one.
guys, if you'd like to come on, you just heard Chris. Now it does help speaking about these things and getting it off. I've always been a talker. I've never kept things inside. If something bothers me now, I will stand next to someone that is I hate saying the word hobo. So someone who is homeless. I would share my
Mm,
story
mm,
with a complete stranger like that.
mm, mm,
And you wouldn't believe how much that helps you just release and process things and hear yourself, hear how crazy the story is, so that you can actually now
mm,
get it out there and make sense of it, or rather figure out your next step. All right, and you don't
mm,
have to figure it out alone. We are here, we're providing solutions daily, we're working on solutions. Chris has joined our team as well recently. He'll be the copywriter, so we're getting blog posts in order. I'm sure we're going to be writing a book soon from this. Uh,
mm,
like everything we need to do to educate people on this, that's what we dedicated this course to. That's what I've dedicated my life to. So if you want to come on the show, type interview in the chat, answer the couple of questions, and book a time, book a date, 7 o'clock every day. It's called the Dirty. Monday to Friday, you'll come on board with me. Chris, thanks so much for joining me. Stay online.
you.
I just wanna chat. My pleasure, bro. I'm gonna chat to you quickly afterwards. All right. I love you
Sure.
guys. Thank you. Stay safe. I hope this has helped you. I know it's definitely helped me. Every time I hear a story like this, I get a little more reassurance that okay, I'm normal. See you guys. Peace.